In this video, we're going to take you through the Open Graph integrator in SEO Ultimate. Open Graph is essentially just a way that you can link certain types of information about your website from social network accounts that you have, such as Facebook and Twitter. That's what we're going to just quickly run through with you today. So the first settings you see here on the screen are site-wide values, and the first one you can see is site name. It's pulling in the default site name from the actual WordPress settings, and of course you can change this here as you see fit. The next field is for a Facebook application ID. This is the kind of thing that if you have one, you'll know that you have one, and if you don't, then it's just very simple that you do not. In the instance that you do have a Facebook app, though, you will obviously have a Facebook app ID, and you should insert that there. Usually when people running a WordPress website have a Facebook app, it's so that they can use a certain plugin to share content from their WordPress website onto their Facebook page. As we move down a little bit, we can see the Twitter card tags, and you've probably seen these if you use Twitter. There are certain cards that people can sometimes get when they're sharing information, and what you can do here is just set some values for the site as a whole. So you can have the username of the website, so for us we have wpkb.com, and then there's some more data that you can fill in to better represent what you're actually sharing on Twitter. So you've got the Twitter site ID, the username of the content creator, so that might be your personal account, Twitter user ID, the description of the content, so these are WordPress how-to guides, something like that. Obviously it would be a bit more descriptive in your own, of course. The title of the content. You can also use an image in the Twitter card. It does need to be less than a meg in size though. And then you can also define the width and height there as well. And you've just got some more information as you go down. We're not going to go through all of this with you today because it would take a very long time, and it will greatly vary depending on what your site has and what you're choosing to share. But all of that information is pretty helpful if you're going to be sharing things across Twitter because it can be added into the code or to the source code of your website. And when you're done making any changes there, you'd naturally hit Save Changes to update that. Then what you'd probably do is move into default values, and this is where you can say what type of Open Graph and Twitter type of content it is that you're sharing. So you can see here for posts, the default is that they'll just be an article in terms of the Open Graph, and for Twitter, you can choose what it is here as well. It's all pretty straightforward. There's nothing particularly tricky about this at all. It's just making sure that you choose the most appropriate out of these for the particular content that you're posting. And in the event that whatever it is that you're posting on your website doesn't have an image associated with it, you can specify a default image really simply there. You can choose one from the gallery or upload your own. And when you're done making changes, naturally you would hit Save Changes. And what we'll do now is we'll move on to the Settings tab. So there's only two settings for the Open Graph integrator, and the first is very simple. Do you wish to include the author data for your posts? The default is that yes, it will, but if you have a reason to turn that off, you can obviously do that very easily. And the second is regarding HTML validation. You would only change this if you felt that HTML validation was particularly important for your website or for you for whatever reason you may have. Because at default, the Open Graph and Twitter HTML that is added into your website's source, your HTML source, is not actually valid. So you can change it such that it will validate as XHTML and HTML5. After you've done making any changes here, move on to the blog homepage tab. As you can see here, it's pulling in the homepage title and homepage description just from the default WordPress settings. And this does allow you to edit them just in here as you need to, if you need to at all. And similarly, as we had a default image, if you do want to set a default image for your blog homepage, you can do that very easily here as well. Next we'll show you the Posts tab. And here we can see that we're presented with a list of all the posts that are currently in this WordPress installation. And what you can do is change the type that it is. And obviously it will just use whatever the default is, which as the plugin's already set to the default of an internet article, but of course you can change this on a post-by-post basis to anything you want. Maybe it's a playlist. Here you can also modify the title and the description and the image. Very easy to do. Though if you do want to change that image, you're going to need to have the actual URL of the image where it lives on your server in order to specify that. There's no buttons or anything you can use to change that right here. But ideally this is something that you'd be changing on a post-by-post basis. It's Super simple to do. We'll just come in here and show you now. You can see I'm on the post edit screen and I've got the SEO settings box down here, and you can go to the social networks listing. You can change the title, description and image there. You also get the ability to upload an image rather than needing to actually know the URL of where it lives. So pretty handy stuff. Just to recap, we've just gone through the Open Graph Integrator in SEO Ultimate. It's a really easy way that you can customize how your site is represented on social networks such as Facebook and Twitter and Google+. If you have any questions about what we've covered in this video, please feel free to ask in the comments below.